All right, welcome back to part two. Again, the technical difficulties are prevalent with this show. I told Ryan I'm going to AT&T and see what's going on because apparently I got unlimited data. But we left off on third base, Phillies versus Red Sox all time. I got Mike Schmidt over Wade Boggs. I'm sure Ryan will graciously agree with that as well.
I don't have anything to say on that one. Mike Schmidt, it just might be the greatest third baseman to ever step on a baseball diamond, quite honestly. So, love you, Boggs, but you're not better than Schmitty.
Not even in the slightest. I think Schmidt is the best third baseman of all time, and I don't think it's relatively close. But number four at first base, I got Ryan Howard. You had Jimmy Fox, right?
I did. And it's like, I could really, really argue Jimmy Fox's, like, longevity and the way that he was able to sustain his career for as long as he did would put him over Ryan Howard. However, again, the same reason why I love Pedroia so much, but it's like we got robbed of a good portion of Ryan Howard's career because of injuries. I think Ryan Howard may have been on a trajectory to join the 600 home run club and pass said Jimmy Fox on that list. So, I mean, basing it purely on projection and basing it purely off of what I saw growing up, I didn't watch Jimmy Fox. So yeah, the numbers look cool, but I'm okay with giving it to Ryan Howard in this one, but Jimmy Fox has a legitimate case.
Yeah, and I appreciate you giving me that. As you guys saw in the first episode, I gave Nomar over Jimmy. I thought it was very close. I think both of us kind of agree that we prefer peaks at the time, and you can't deny Ryan Howard's peak. I think if he didn't get injured, like you said, he'd be on the track to 600 home runs. Obviously, baseball can be heartless, so sometimes things don't work out the way we all envision. Number five at DH, similar to Ryan giving me Ryan Howard. I'm obviously going to give the DH slot to the Red Sox. David Ortiz is the greatest DH to ever step foot on a baseball field. Love me some Kyle Schwarber, but the moments David Ortiz had in October, you can count them like numerous. So I'll give you David Ortiz.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't even prepared to argue that one because there's no argument to be made. No disrespect to Kyle Schwarber, but David Ortiz is one of the greatest of all time. I'm not even gonna waste my breath saying that Schwarber even is there an argument for Schwarber? Not yet. Maybe at some point, but not yet.
Yeah, I mean, if he continues what he's doing, and I think the big thing is like obviously Kyle Schwarber's had playoff moments, but not as much as David Ortiz. So as of right now, David Ortiz gets it. But hopefully Kyle wins a couple more World Series, that with the Philadelphia Phillies. So that'd be a sight to see. Number six, Phillies fans might give me some crap for it because I'm going to give it to Ryan. And he had Mookie Betts in right field. I had Bryce Harper in right field. Going back on peaks, I think Mookie Betts' 2018 was one of the greatest seasons in MLB history, and the only two seasons you can compare that for with Bryce is 2015. That was his year with the Nationals, so that automatically disqualifies him because this is a Phillies Red Sox list. But 2021, I guess you can compare, but I still give the edge to Mookie. I think Bryce Harper is a better player than Mookie Betts now. I don't think it's relatively close, but all time, I'll give you Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I am. See, it's kind of up in the air for me on that one too because I love Bryce Harper as a player, but I also love Mookie Betts as a player. They're kind of polar opposites in the sense of their like emotions and stuff, but they're both fantastic leaders in that same vein. Mookie is honestly, if it wasn't Freddie being over there, he would be the heart of that Dodgers team. He's a fantastic leader. He's a great clubhouse guy, and overall, I miss Mookie Betts. I think Mookie Betts could have gone down as potentially the second greatest Red Sox of all time behind Ted Williams, obviously, but stuff just doesn't work out. Baseball's a business, yada yada. But yeah, it's a toss up in some cases, but Mookie is just that much better.
Yeah. And then for the next one, left field, I don't think it's going to be close again. I love me some Dick Allen. Imagine they clipped that in the beginning of that when I said that. Pause. Um, but Ted Williams is Ted Williams, so you can have Ted Williams over Dick Allen. I don't think that's any of even a discussion.
Yeah, out of pure sympathy, I may give it to you just because you had to say that you loved you some Dick Allen. However, I'm not
I'll
gonna
say
let the
Dick Allen.
I'm not gonna let the baseball god strike me down for such a atrocious nice guy thing to do. Ted Williams is the greatest hitter of all time. Argue with a tree.
100%. Catcher, I got JT Realmuto. Who do you have a catcher again?
I had Carlton Fisk.
You're going to give me JT?
I think JT Realmuto is going to retire as the top five catcher of all time. I think JT Realmuto is better than Yadier Molina. People aren't ready to have that conversation, but JT is a better catcher than Yadier Molina ever was. No disrespect to Yadi, one of the all-time greatest arms behind the plate. Defensively, could call a game like nobody's business. JT's better.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Obviously, Phillies fans and JT, we're in a weird period because we're in the process of either letting him go or re-signing. I'm kind of pissed off with him and his management for how it's taking so long. Now, personally, I agree. Go get your bag, do all that stuff. But there comes a time and point where you realize your market isn't what it is, and you have to make a decision. I want the Phillies to be the ones to like stomp their foot and be like, "Here's the final offer." But yeah, you can't deny what JT has done, and the best availability, the best. What's the word? Availability is availability. The best
The best
skill.
ability is availability.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. And JT posts like 120, 130 games all the time. And when he was hitting at his peak and doing that on the catching side, he is one of the best catchers of all time. He was batting cleanup for us in our 2022 World Series run. So obviously, I got JT catching. For the closer part, I would love to go on a tangent about Tim McGraw and try to put him up against Jonathan Papelbon, but I'll give you Jonathan Papelbon.
See, I look at a guy like Tug, and I kind of want to argue for him just based on his name, because I could look at another Red Sox. I could have put a guy on the Red Sox pitching side just based on his name alone. I could have had Oil Can Boyd in this, but
That's
I just
insane.
I decided against it because for obvious reasons. We saw who I picked, but based on name alone, I can give the argument, but Jonathan Papelbon was probably arguably one of the best closers in baseball when he was in his prime. Obviously, you're not going to be the best when Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman and Heath Bell, guys like that, are in the league. But Jonathan Papelbon was consensus in that top five for a long time. Long time. So yeah, it's got
All
to be Pap.
Yeah, all-time Philly saves leader. You're not ready to have that discussion. But yeah, you get John the Papelbon into the rotation. Number one, Steve Carlton versus Pedro Martinez. I'll give you that. I think it's relatively close. I think this also has something to do with errors. Obviously, Pedro Martinez is closer to my era than Steve Carlton. I love the way Pedro Martinez pitched with that mentality that you don't see out of a lot of aces. When he was on the mound, he was on there to do a job and win the ball game. So I love me some Pedro Martinez, love me some Steve Carlton, but I'll give you Pedro.
Yeah, to argue for Carlton like he was a pitching Triple Crown winner, that's not something that you just do. He's an all-time great, and not even just for the Phillies. He's an all-time great in general. But you look at Pedro's two seasons back to back where he put up just that unbelievable ERA. And even like the win-loss total, I know wins and losses don't necessarily matter for pitchers, but good God in heaven, that guy couldn't lose. Pedro, I'm half tempted to say that Pedro might be a top five pitcher of all time. That might just be my Sox bias, but either way, Pedro was unbelievable.
Yeah. And then number two, I think you'll give me Zach Wheeler over Roger Clemens, just based on this is a Phillies Red Sox list, and I think Zach Wheeler has done more for the Phillies than Roger Clemens has done for the Red Sox all time. I would probably give it to Roger, but for this discussion, you're going to give me Zach Wheeler.
Roger Clemens is a cheater, so I'll just cut dry give you that one.
Quick and easy, baby. Let's go. Um, and then Roy Halladay over who was your third?
It was
Chris
Chris
Sale.
Sale.
So I think they're relatively close in the sense of their peaks for the respective teams were short. Um, but I'm going to give it to Roy Halladay on my end just because, I mean, a playoff no hitter is a playoff no hitter. He had a Cy Young. I guess on your side, you could say Chris Sale closed out a World Series game. Both were incredible, but I got Roy Halladay.
Honestly, the only thing that Chris Sale has over Roy Halladay is the 300 strikeout season. I don't think Roy ever eclipsed 300. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I don't think Roy ever eclipsed 300 Ks in a season. Chris Sale did that. But other than that, if Chris Sale had won the Cy Young the year he had the 300 Ks, I think this discussion would be a lot closer. But unfortunately for me, it's not. Doc Holliday is just that much better than Chris Sale.
R.I.P. So let's add it up. Shortstop, I gave the Red Sox. Chase Utley and Dustin Pedroia, we had it at 50-50, so we won't count that. We have an
We'll
announcement at
call
the
that
end
a
of this
half
for.
point. Let's call that a half point.
Yeah, we could also finish that discussion in the next episode to where I think that's going to be the tiebreaker. Mike Schmidt, Philly, so 1-1. You gave me Ryan Howard, so 2-1 Philly. I gave you DH, Big Poppy, 2-2. I gave you right field, 3-3 or 3-2.
3-2.
Dick Allen gave you Ted Williams. So what's it at now? 3-3 or
It's 4-2 right now.
4-2? Okay, cool. Richie Ashburn, 4-3. JT Realmuto, 4-4. I gave you Jonathan Papelbon, so 5-4. Steve Carlton, I gave you Pedro Martinez, so 6-4 Red Sox. But then you gave me Zach Wheeler over Roger Clemens, 6-5. And you gave me Doc over Chris Sale. So, guys, we're at a standstill, 6-6. So, this is going to lead into our next episode. So, I'm sure you saw the post that I posted a few days ago, Dustin Pedroia versus Chase Utley. Who's the better second baseman? Obviously, I think it's Chase. Ryan thinks it's Dustin. So, our next episode, we are going to do a full episode on who's the better player, Chase Utley or Dustin Pedroia. This will give me and Ryan some time to go get all of our stats in order to where we just go at it for 20-25 minutes on who's the better player. After that episode, that's going to decide the tiebreaker. And then we also want to get your guys' opinions to where we're going to be making our case, but we'll do a poll to where you say, all right, who argued their case better and who do you think is the best player? Is it Chase Utley or Dustin Pedroia?
Now, I know that a lot of this fan base is predominantly Phillies, but this really does stand with you guys. You guys are going to help us decide which one is all time a better player for their organization. Chase Utley on the Dodgers? No, we're not talking about that. We're talking strictly Chase Utley on the Phillies, the same way how Dustin Pedroia spent his entire career with the Boston Red Sox. But that's where you guys come in. You guys got to tell us your opinions. You guys got to tell us who you think is just that much better. When the time comes, they will be tallied, and then either I'll eat my words or Owen will eat his words. Either way, yeah, I think you guys are gonna be in for a really, really good one because I think if there's one thing in this world that Owen is passionate about, it's Chase Utley, and if there's one thing in this world that I'm passionate about, it's Dustin Pedroia.
100%. And in the sense of like, it will be kind of a difficult episode in my sense because I never want to discredit Dustin Pedroia. Similar to, I don't think you want to discredit Chase Utley. We think they're both
Hmm.
all-time players. They were our childhood heroes. We love them, but there comes a point where you have to make your argument, and that's what we're going to do. So that episode will come out sometime before Wednesday. Wednesday's the episode with Sheffield Shuffler, so stay tuned for that. That should get posted sometime in the afternoon because we're set to record at 11, so I'm very excited for that. But we'll get that Dustin Pedroia Chase Utley episode out before. But drop your opinions in the comments. Red Sox, Phillies, all time. Who you think is better? Who you think is better at each position? We love to hear from you guys because you guys are part of our community. So your opinion is completely valid.
So
Yes,
yeah,
Ryan.
thank you. So just before we sign off, I just want to let y'all know, Red Sox fans, I will be doing a solo pod probably at some point tomorrow. We saw Owen do his going over the Phillies' projected lineup. You're gonna see that from me too, with the zero moves that the Red Sox have made this free agency season. So I hope you guys have a copy of last year's lineup because it's gonna look really, really similar. But either way, we're going to talk about that. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about moves that I would like to see happen before we get to the season. They're not going to be a part of the lineup because I'm just going to work with what we have. However, I will talk about things that I would like to see happen, and I would like to know what you guys would want to see happen too. Maybe I can incorporate it into the podcast itself. So, yeah, just let us know.
Perfect. And for that, we will be signing off. We will see you guys on the next episode. You have a good one, Ryan.
You too, brother. I'll catch you when I catch you, and I'll see you on the next one.
Later, dude.